follow bhakti, which are more perfect? Shri Bhagavan Vacha Mayabesha Mano Yamanitya Yukta Upasate Shradaya Parayopetaste Mayukta Tamomataha. And Krishna replied that of those two, those who worship me in my personal form, I consider them to be the most perfect. So when we study Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gita Upanishad. It is said that all the Upanishad, there are 108 of them, they are like flowers in a forest. And what do you do when you have many flowers? What do you do with the flowers? A garland, Prabhu said. So Bhagavad Gita is like a garland, like the summary of all these flowers. And why is the Bhagavad Gita so important? There are many reasons why Bhagavad Gita is very important. We will now talk about the main one, or the topmost important quality of the Bhagavad Gita. As we know, the Vedas, the Chatur Vedas, they come from the breathing of Mahavishnu. And in these Vedas, there is a vast amount of knowledge about different things, not necessarily directly related to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Bhagavad Gita is so special because Bhagavad Gita comes from the lips of Krishna. Not from the breathing of Mahavishnu, but directly from the lips of Krishna. It is said that the knowledge of the Vedas is like a cow. And the one who is milking this cow is Nandanandana, Krishna. And Arjuna is like a calf. And all the sages and devotees in general, like you, are the drinkers of this nectarian milk of the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter is my belly, and the last two chapters are my lotus feet. So in this way, you should understand Bhagavad Gita is not different from me. And if you follow this instruction, like the devotees have been following the instructions of Bhagavad Gita since time immemorial, you will obtain all perfection. Even if you recite one verse or even one part of a verse, you will obtain perfection. And Krishna told Lakshmi Devi that in the past, there was a devotee. I don't know if anyone remembers the name. Actually, before he was a very crooked man. He was a very sinful man. And he was especially fond on flesh and wine. He was not interested in spiritual life. He never gave charity. He never studied the scriptures. He never chanted the holy name of Krishna. But he was committing all sorts of sinful activities. And one day he was actually earning his livelihood by selling leaves. So one day he was in the courtyard of the sage and he was collecting leaves to sell. And he got bitten by a snake and he died. And when he died, he took the form of a bull. And then a very sinful person as well bought this bull, and he was using it to carry heavy loads. And he was all day long just carry heavy things. And one day he could not take it anymore and he collapsed. And when he was about to die, people were passing by and were feeling pity for this bull. So some of the pious brahmanas and other personalities who were passing by, they gave the blessings. They gave some of their pious activity to this bull. And there was a prostitute who was also nearby. And she said, okay, everyone is giving blessings. I don't think I have any blessings or any pious activities. But nonetheless, I give whatever blessings I have, I give to this bull. And then when the bull died, he went to Yamaraj. And Yamaraj said, now you are liberated because of the blessings of this prostitute. And then he was perplexed. How is it possible that so many people, so many qualified people get me blessings, but I got a blessing from this prostitute, and these blessings are the one who gave me liberation. So in his next life, he was born as a very highly qualified Brahmana. And then he decided I should find this prostitute and ask her what you have done, what are the pious activities you have performed that gave me this big boon. So he finally found this prostitute and she said, I have no idea. I have a parrot there in my house, and this parrot is always reciting something, and by listening to this recitation of this parrot, my heart became completely purified. And the recitation of this parrot, the merit of recitation of this parrot, I'm giving you. So they both went to the house and they asked the parrot, what are you reciting? And then he tells his story. He said, in my previous life, I was a very sinful person, and I love to criticize others. It was my hobby to criticize others. And then when I died, I was cast over many hells. And then I finally took birth as a parrot. But due to my sinful activities, my parents died when I was a baby parrot. And I was just there on the hot sun. And then some sages took me to their hermit. And the kids of these sages, they were learning the first canto of the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And I was just used to repeat all these prayers and all these verses from Bhagavad Gita. And by reciting this, my heart became purified. And this merit of this recitation is what the prostitute gave you. I don't remember, unfortunately, the name of this personality. I had normally my notes, but I forgot them at home. So we are just depending on Krishna. So she said that now that giving you this, you have become completely liberated. So this Bhagavad Gita is so special because it's the essence of all Vedic literature. By simply reciting this Bhagavad Gita, we can obtain all perfection. Some people avoid chapter 1. We were just talking about the glories of chapter 1. But many people just, I don't know if it happened to you, it happened to me when I was reading Bhagavad Gita, always skip chapter 1. Isn't it? Especially because there is no Bhagavan Uvacha. And who is talking? Dhritarashtra is talking, who is blind. And if a blind person tell you to go left, what you will do? You will go right, isn't it? There's no much enthusiasm there to follow a blind person. So we avoid, normally we skip chapter 1. We say, no, why do you need to follow? Why do you need to read chapter 1? Just start from chapter 2. But there is a simple reason, and the simple reason is that it's part of Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada also presented like this. And Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses, it's not more or less. So even though for us, it's just names, this warrior and the other warrior, and then they are doing this and that. But these are the words emanating from Krishna's lotus mouth. That's why they are so transcendental and inspiring. And also, sometimes people question, why is the Bhagavad Gita spoken in a battlefield? It could have been better if Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita in a cave or in a temple where everything is peaceful, everyone can listen. But why Bhagavad Gita is spoken in a battlefield? The reason is people will have excuses in the future, if that could have been the case. They say, okay, yeah, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita in the cave, but I'm not in the cave, I'm in battlefield every day. So that's not apply to me. And Krishna, how do you say, No. What is the right word for this? Predicting that he spoke Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield. So nobody will have excuse that, oh, that's not applied to me. And we see that when we read Bhagavad Gita, also the importance of chapter 1, even though we will talk about chapter 12, but we'll talk a little bit about chapter 1, is that chapter 1 talk about the problems. And the other 70 chapter talk about the solutions. But without knowing the problem, how can we solve those problems? So it's important, chapter 1, that we know what the problems are. And we should not be an illusion to think that because now I'm a devotee, I'm following Bhagavad Gita, I will not have any more problems. Problems are always going to be there. This is a material world, and problems are always going to be there. Like if there is a rain, what do? Can you stop the rain? No way. The only thing you can do is just open your umbrella. So Bhagavad Gita is like this umbrella that can give us shelter, they can give us solace from this material existence and material problems. Problems are going to be there always. Without problems, there is no material world. So now I will recite all the chapters. As I said, Bhagavad Gita class is one verse, two at the most, but today we'll recite 20. So you will get the benefit of being in 20 Bhagavad Gita classes. So I think that's good for everyone, especially for me. And it will only take 2 minutes, believe it or not, only 2 minutes to recite all the Sanskrit verses. I think 1 minute and 50 seconds. You can count, Ishan. Arshune vacham evan sadata yuktaye bhaktyastam parupasate ye chapyaksharana vyaktan teshanke yoga vittamaha Shri Bhagavanu vacha maya veshamano yeman nitya yukta upastate shadaya parayo petaste me yukta tamo mataha ye toksharana nirdeshana vyaktam parupasate sarvatragama chintyan chakutestana chalandruvam Saniyamendriya graman sarvatra sammabhutaya te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rataha Klesho de karastas tesha navyekta sakta chetasa navyekta higati dukan dehavdira vapyate Yetu sarvani karmani maisanya samat parananina yogena madyantu pasate Teshanaham samudarta mitu samsara sagara mamamina para chaparta maya veshita chetasam Pause. Mayeva manav dastva may budinivesha yaniveshasi mayeva artaumansam shayaha Atachitan samadatu nashasosi maistira navyasa yonata to machaptunanan shaya Avisepi samartosi ma karma parumo va martanapi karmani kurvansidina vapsisi Ataitadapya saktosi kartumanyo ganashita sarvakama falate gantata kuruyatat mavan Sheyohi gyana navyasa gyanatyana vishisyate na karma falate gatya chantiranantaram Advaita sarva bhutana maitra karunae vachani mamoni ahankara samadukashu kakshami Sansuta satatan yogi yatatmaridhanishchaya maya pitam anubhutirium advakta same priyaha Yasman no vishate loko lokan no vishate charshamarsha bayot pegar mukto yasacha me priya Anapesa suchidasha udasino gata vyata sarvama parityagiyam advakta same priya Samasato chamitrecha tatamana yosito sasuke dukeshu samasanga vivarshitaha Tulyanindastutir mani sanstona kenachi anikita tiramatir vakstima me priyonaraha Yetu dharmami tamidan yatoktam parupasate shadadanamat parama bhaktaste tiva me priyaha. How long? 2 minutes, you see? So we heard 20 verses of Bhagavad Gita in only 2 minutes. With one break. Sometimes people wonder how Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita in only 1 hour. He's God, he can do anything. So this is the answer. So now we will do the translations and we will comment about this so we can complete this recitation of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna inquired, which is considered to be the most perfect? Those who are properly engaged in your devotional service or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? And Prabhupada explained in the purport that the problem with the impersonal meditation is that we cannot meditate in something impersonal. Sometimes we've seen some other schools that try to meditate in something impersonal, and it's very difficult. The most traditional one is to meditate on the light. So how long you can meditate on the light? And what you can see when you meditate on the light? So you may become a glowworm on your next life by meditating on the light, but you won't get any benefit. Imagine that you go to heaven, let's say. If you are a Christian, Saint Peter is there waiting for you in heaven. And you requested to see God. So Saint Peter opened the golden gates and God is there and he's the light. God, how can I serve you? Please wash my lotus feet. Where are they? I cannot see. I only see lights. There is no personality there. There is no form. There is no understanding about name, qualities, pastimes. So the impersonal understanding of the Bhagavad Gita or any other scripture is very troublesome. Kleshodikarastas tesham is a klesha, is a misery to understand God in an impersonal form. So we continue with the recitation because our time is limited. I want to complete the 12. Otherwise, they are just empty promises. The blessed Lord said, "He whose mind is fixed in my personal form, always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me the most perfect." Prabhupada said in the purport that pure devotee always engage in different activities like cooking, worshiping the deity, cleaning the temple, and this is a real samadhi. Everyone is aiming for samadhi. In any school of yoga, meditation, the goal is always nirvana or samadhi. So Prabhupada said that be fully engaged in the service of Krishna. This is real samadhi. Text 4. But those who fully worship the manifest that lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. Prabhupada explained that in this purport, that to perceive the super soul, one need to cease all the sensual activities. We need to cease seeing, we need to cease hearing, talking, and we see this is impersonal path. Because if you follow the impersonal path, you should not see anything beautiful. You should not hear anything beautiful. You should not eat anything tasty. It's dry. This is Prabhupada call it dry philosophy. Everything is dry and tasteless. But how many people can perform a process like that? How many people can follow a dry process like that? We all need to taste something nice. We all want to see beautiful form. We want to hear beautiful things, beautiful songs. And that's only apply when we dovetail all these tendencies to Krishna consciousness. Because in bhakti, you don't need to give up your taste like a Mayavadi. Sometimes the Mayavadi sannyasis, they mix all the food, all the sweet, sour, everything mixed because they don't want to enjoy. But devotees enjoy taking prasadam because this is a mercy of Krishna. It's not just an impediment for my self-realization. And Mayavadis, they don't want to hear anything. Sometimes they do this mauna vow, where they don't talk to anyone. But sometimes they go with the board, writing things. How are you today? And then the other one need to do the same. So it's so dry, it's so senseless, because the human got the tendency of interacting with other people. They have the tendency to enjoy, but this enjoyment should be directly to the right source. It should be directed to Krishna, and then all the senses become satisfied. When we hear about Krishna, there is nothing more pleasant than that. When we take Krishna Prasad, there is nothing more amazing than that. When you see the beautiful forms of the Lord, there is nothing more pleasing than that. So our process is not to give up a natural tendency of the human nature, but to dovetail those tendencies to the service of Krishna. So we continue with text 5. Time is chasing us. For those whose mind are attached to the manifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancing is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, have been devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Prita, for him am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Krishna is known as Mukunda. Krishna is the only one who can give liberation for those who are engaged in devotional service. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage your intelligence in me. Thus you will live with me always, without a doubt. My dear Arjuna, or winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, you will develop desire to attain me. Krishna has been very merciful. He's giving us different possibilities. Not everyone, Krishna said, everyone follow me, my way, but just they are doing it in a different degree. Everyone is following Krishna to one way or another. And Krishna is saying that, okay, if you cannot do this, then do that. If you cannot do that, do this. There is a room for everyone. Everyone is in one level or the other level. Krishna is not excluding anyone. Krishna is giving everyone the chance to advance in spiritual life. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness, then try to act giving up all result of your work and trying to be self-situated. If you cannot take this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruit of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Knowledge is very important. Srila Prabhupada one time asked one of his disciples, are you studying Bhagavad Gita? And the disciple said, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada said, no. Are you studying Bhagavad Gita? And yes, Prabhupada, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita every day. But you studying Bhagavad Gita? And he said, yeah, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada said, do you understand the difference between reading and studying? He said, reading is the newspapers. You read newspaper every day, different news. That's it. You read it, you trash it. But when you go to university, you study. This is a serious study because you have your academic books. And what Srila Prabhupada wanted in order for us to obtain this knowledge is to study Bhagavad Gita. Reading is not enough. Reading is not enough. We can read Bhagavad Gita, that's fine. Reading Bhagavad Gita is better than not reading Bhagavad Gita, but better than reading Bhagavad Gita is studying Bhagavad Gita. That's why Srila Prabhupada also wanted all these Bhakti Shastri and all these courses to be done so we can deeply study the words of Sri Krishna and obtain the biggest benefit of this knowledge. Okay, we almost finished. One who is not envious, but who is kind, friend of all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, who is free from false ego and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, and whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me, he is very dear to me. He for whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anxiety, who is steady in happiness and distress, is very dear to me. A devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and who does not strive for some result, is very dear to me. This is a very high level of bhakti. And it should not be artificially imitated. Krishna is talking here about the pure devotees of Krishna who are free from any duality, from any anxiety, from any suffering. But we know that most devotees are not in that level. He's talking about the Paramahamsas, those who are very elevated in Krishna consciousness, who are free from the dualities of this world. But he also explained that whoever is practicing devotional service, he is also very dear to him, despite not being at that level. One who neither grasps pleasure or grief, who neither laments or desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contamination, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service, is very dear to me. And this is the last one. So today we completely the chapter 12. He who follows the imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, is very, very dear to me. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Do you have any questions? We have only 15 minutes left. Anyone here doesn't have Bhagavad Gita? If you don't have it, after class you should run to the temple shop and get one. Srila Prabhupada said that there should be only one scripture, Bhagavad Gita. There should be only one hymn, the Mahamantra Hare Krishna. And there should be only one occupation, devotional service to Krishna. So if we keep this in our life, and then our life is perfect. There is a story of this, they call it Gita Panda, that he was only reading Bhagavad Gita, nothing else. And at the end of his life, he obtained complete perfection. Of course, for our enhancement of Krishna consciousness, we should read other books as well, like Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. But Bhagavad Gita itself is enough to obtain perfection. And chanting Hare Krishna is enough to obtain perfection. Nothing else is needed. Other mantras, they help us to purify our heart. But Bhagavad Gita help us to purify our intelligence. Like we take bath every day, and in summertime 2-3 times if it's hot. But by reading Bhagavad Gita, we purify ourselves internally. So this is very important, that we follow the process of devotional service and we study Bhagavad Gita. Prabhu.
those who follow the impersonal path, they also eventually get to them. So how is that possible if they don't have a personal understanding of Krishna?
Prabhupada explaining the purport that is very difficult. It's very, very difficult, especially nowadays. And Krishna said that 5,000 years ago, where there were no distractions, as we know nowadays. There were no Facebook, there were no all these distractions. And people were generally pious and religious, and there were so many facilities, much more than today, for spiritual advancement. It was more conducive to spiritual advancement. But even then, it was very difficult. Even then, Krishna said, they can get to me, they can perceive the super soul if they give up all the sensual activities. They can perceive Paramatma, they can get to the Brahman understanding, but it's very difficult. And this is part of the process. This is not something different, because when one understands Krishna, one understands automatically Paramatma and Brahman. So it's part of the process. But rather than going through this difficult path, you can go directly to Krishna by following bhakti, instead of going through jnana, etc., etc. Like there are so many scriptures. Okay, no, we're not going to get into that. It will take too long. But there are so many scriptures that they deal with a specific part of this process, like understanding of and realization of Paramatma, Brahman, that aim to this understanding. But devotees, they are not interested in that. They go directly to the boss. If you can go to the boss, no need to go to the employees. It's just, it's a smart way. And Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, they gave us the smart way. Go to the boss directly, no need to go to trouble yourself with a difficult path that it may lead, may not lead to anything. Some people, they saw Bari Muni, he was practicing for thousands of years meditation. And in the end, he saw fish copulating and he got distracted and gave up his meditation. Thousands of years wasted. So we are not going to waste our time trying something which is difficult and with no guarantee of success. We have the best process and the best way to do it. Bhakti, chanting Hare Krishna, association with devotees. This is the shortcut. This is a shortcut. Is that okay?
Saying that man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudeva is all. So, in that process, there are what is taken many times as a board.
Yeah, this is a proper mention the purpose as well, that there is a saguna nirguna. Saguna is when we understand that Krishna got attributes, they got personality, got pastime, got names. And nirguna is when we just understand that God exists. He's there. But don't know who he is, we don't know his name, we don't know anything about it. And this is mostly the understanding of most religions nowadays. They know God is there. And what's his name? No idea. What he does, he just don't know. He's just carrying the globe and he's growing beer and he's getting tired. That's their understanding. There is no deep understanding. So Saguna and Nirguna is there. God is also with our attributes in the form of Brahman. But beyond that, there is a personal form. Prabhupada gave very simple examples sometimes how to understand. He said, your father was a person, and the father of your father was a person. And if you go to the beginning of your existence, you will find a person. You didn't come from a light, from a bulb, or you were always a person. Your family members were always person. Prabhupada gave sometimes this example, very simple but very effective for our understanding. Anything else? Yes, Mataji.
You were saying at the beginning about the bull when he was leaving his body, and because the prostitute had heard back about Peter, that enabled her to have blessings to have a great effect on what happened to him after he passed away. And I was just thinking, looking at the mention, but one of the Brahmacharinis that lived in the ashram here just passed away a few days ago. She lived here for about 7 years in the 90s, and now that we've all heard Bhagavad Gita, is this maybe a good time that we can offer some lessons for her?
Yeah. What's her name?
Radha Prananath.
Radha Prananath.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can offer any prayer, good wishes to Prananatha,
Radha Prananath.
Radha Prananath.
She done a very nice service for the temple. At the time of Sankirtan was very, very difficult, and we were getting chased by the police and moved on. She put in a lot of effort setting up vehicle collections and getting permission and writing to all the councils. And at that time, the book distribution increased a lot, the Lakshmi coming in increased a lot, and the money that bought all these buildings, a lot of that came from the cooperation, the devotees. Once she set up that everything was legal and we couldn't be moved, and the police, the shops couldn't hassle us, and then the Sankirtan devotees took that up very seriously as well, and put in a different, so it was, one of the examples of everybody working together and it making a lasting difference to the legacy of Trinidad.
Enjoy. Okay, let's offer the benefit of this recitation today to Radha Prananatha Mataji. We have 5 minutes, so I will tell last story. Always the nectar for the end. And this is the story of the chapter 12, which I didn't tell. There was a time, this is there is a call in the south, it's called Lokapala, where there is a beautiful temple of Mahalakshmi. And in this temple, many devotees go and pray. They said that the Rudra Gaya is also there, and it's a place that fulfills all desires. So one time there was a beautiful boy who came there, and he had a golden complexion, and he had beautiful lotus eyes, and a broad chest, and he was very beautiful to look at. Do you know who he was? No, I caught you. No, it was not Lord Chaitanya. Was a prince that his father had died while performing Asvamedha Yagyas. And formerly when they were performing these horse sacrifices, sometime in the last one, they will steal the last horse. So they could not get the benefit. Because if you perform 100 Asvamedha Yagyas, you could take the post of Indra. So knowing that when he was performing this, king was performing this sacrifice, he died. So his son said, okay, I will continue this yagya, this young prince. So he was about to perform 100 sacrifices. In that moment, Indra stole the horse. So he went and he was praying to Lakshmi, please return me my horse. Unusual prayer, you can say. But he was so devoted and so full of wonderful qualities that Mahalakshmi got very pleased with him, and she appeared before him. And he said, okay, I will grant you this benefit. Just need to go and speak to Siddha Samadhi, who is a Brahmana who lives at my door in my temple. So he went to him, and Siddha Samadhi, he immediately called all the demigods. come, come. So all the demigods, they came, and they were very humble, asking Siddha Samadhi what he wanted. He said, return this horse straight away. And then they returned the horse. They were very fearful of him. And he said, this prince said, can you please revive my father? He had died while performing this Ashvamedha sacrifice. And I'm keeping him in hot oil. Apparently, it's the way to keep the body intact in those days. So can you revive him? So Siddha Samadhi said, okay, let's go there. Let's go to see him. So they saw the body, and he sprinkled some water, say some mantras, and the father sat down and he said, who are you? How do you develop such powers? And he said, I only recite the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. This is my only qualification. So this, we should not minimize, undermine this importance of reading Bhagavad Gita and the power of it. If we will read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna guaranteed that we will go back to Godhead. If we will read Bhagavad Gita, if we will study Bhagavad Gita. So I feel sometimes we don't emphasize enough the reading of Bhagavad Gita. And we may get distracted with other scriptures or other books, but we should always have Bhagavad Gita in our library and read it regularly, because just by reading Bhagavad Gita we can obtain all perfection. Okay, thank you for coming. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shani Tagore Premanandi Hari Bol.